What if the stillness that we've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable and because sometimes it's full of mystery and it doesn't have definite answers, and the answer is really, I don't know. What if that's where we actually can connect to something real, the only reality that actually exists? Hey, I'm Zachary Liao, founder of Force to Flow, and I work with people who are spiritually awake and practically lost. If you've walked away from a belief system, you probably know the feeling, and it kicks in almost immediately after the framework or the rigid ideas and ideologies that you've held kind of collapse. It comes in right after that to find something new, to figure out what's the right answer, what's the truth, what's real. And I want to point out that's a very valid experience, and one that even I've lived, where I trade one ideology for another ideology in search of that truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. And at the same time, I want to propose that maybe there's a space on the in-between, the space where you don't have all the answers, a space where you don't know what the truth is. That is a space where you might actually find everything that you're looking for, everything that you need. Now, I like to think about it like this. The past is the belief system, right, that we're coming from. The future is the life or the vision that we want to see built. But this very small present moment, that's the moment where real transformation can actually happen. It's the moment where that future life that we're envisioning, that thing that we're wanting, can actually come into fruition. And we can take steps to actually get to that space. But if we're not living here in the present moment, in the in-between, if we're jumping from one rigid way to another rigid way, if we're trying to find our answers, it's hard to be here. It's hard to be in the in-between. And for me, that in-between space, it's the only space we can have connection with God, or source, or essence, or the divine, whatever you'd like to call it. It's the only place where God is and where what's real is. And that's why it's the only place that transformation can actually take place. I think so many people are caught up in grieving the past or trying to avoid the mistakes of the past and planning for the future or being afraid of the future. And I'll tell you personal examples, specifically me today even, been thinking about, the way the world is, the way that I personally see the world, my perspective on what's broken or what needs to be changed. And I can get into this headspace where I want something that looks so different for my own life, but also for just the life of the world and the planet. And when I'm in that space, I'm not in the present moment, and all I feel is fear and anxiety. And then sometimes I get trapped in the past. I think about all the things I've done wrong. I think about all the things that I could have done differently and the regret that I might feel. And again, honestly, what I'm afraid of, I jump back to the future. I'm afraid of it happening again. I'm afraid of making the wrong choice again. And so often I'm in one of those two places. But I feel like I've been in a space where I'm learning to sit in the in-between. Every wisdom tradition kind of has a version of this. They have the desert, the void, the dark night of the soul. And oftentimes on the other side of those things, people have spiritual, supernatural experiences. And I think it's one of the most ancient spiritual practices to strip away the frameworks, all the things that we grew up with and that we inherited, and get to the core, the essence of whatever that is, and really the essence of life, aka what I would call God for myself. I think we were made for this. The questioning, the unraveling, the sitting in the tension of not knowing. I don't think it's failure. I think it's formation, spiritual formation. What if Instead of reaching outside of ourselves for something, trying to grasp something outside of ourselves, for the next answer, for the next way, the path forward, the way to go. What if we turned inside of ourselves? What if the stillness that we've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable and because sometimes it's full of mystery and it doesn't have definite answers, and the answer is really, I don't know. What if that's where we actually can connect to something real, the only reality that actually exists? The present moment, this uncomfortable, disorienting in-between space, is the only place where you can actually meet yourself. Not the self that you were told to be, but the essence of who you are. You don't have to have it all figured out. The answers that you're probably looking for, if you've gotten this far in this video, probably aren't in the next framework. They aren't in the next belief system, in the next right way of thinking. They're already inside of you. In the in-between, the present moment, it's the space where you find those answers. So if this resonates with you, I'd love to hear where you're at. If you can drop a comment below, let me know what you think of this video. If you know somebody that's in this space, that in-between moment where they're leaving something really rigid in their belief systems and they're not quite sure where to go, who they are without that, then share this video with them, because that's exactly who I'm trying to speak to, who I'm trying to help, because honestly, it was me. It was me. So I'll see you again in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching this video.